Done part 1 and part 2, and now we are going to do part 3. If you haven't already done part 1 and part 2, please make sure that you watch those first, and then you are more than welcome to join us back here. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do is we are going to play around with return values, and we are going to do that. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before. We are going to do that by writing a function that takes a day name, or takes a day, and returns it in English. Okay, so we'll do that first by defining a function called format. Let's actually just call it day name. Okay, so day name English. So we're returning it in English, and that function is going to take a day num. So important thing to note here, date objects have a number that is associated with which day of the week it is. So Sunday is 0, Monday is 1, Tuesday is 2, Wednesday is 3, and so on. Okay? All right, so knowing that date objects have a number, we can pass that number and then it will return a variable or an English word, a string that we can use. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is declare a variable called day name. And when we first enter this function, we don't know what that is in English. So we're going to call it unknown. Okay, so last week and before the break, we started talking briefly about if-else statements. So we are going to use a chain of if-else statements in order to figure out what day we are supposed to be giving back to our program. Okay, so we'll start with if day num equals 0, day name is set to Sunday. Okay? Else, if day num equals 1, day name equals Monday. Else if day num equals 2, and so again we're using that equals, right? Equals Tuesday. Else if day num equals 3, day name equals Wednesday. Oop, I'm up here. I forgot some semicolons. Okay, and I've told you before, I am a lazy programmer, so I am going to copy and paste and just change it. So 4 is going to be Thursday. 5 is going to be Friday. And 6 is going to be Saturday. Okay? And then the last thing we're going to do is we are going to add that return statement to this function. So we have this function called day name that is going to take a number between 0 and 6. So that's what the date object stores. And it's going to take that number and it's going to return a string that is associated with the English word for that day. So when we use this function, we call this function, it is going to give us back, return, day name, which will be a string. Okay, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Perfect. We are good to go. Okay, so let's practice. Let's run this and see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, var name. Now look, right now I am declaring a global variable. Okay. And we are going to say day name English 0. We expect this will return Sunday, right? And then we're going to test our code and print out name. So go ahead and save that. Browser preview it. And there we go. It does exactly what we think it should do. All right, so the use of this, of course, is that now we can access local variables. Okay, so this variable, day name, is local. It exists within this particular function, but by using a return statement, we can go ahead and pass that local variable value to a global variable. Okay, cool. All right, so now that we've written this function, okay, we have written this function, we are going to, I'm going to go ahead and move this so that we can better see part 2 again. Okay. Doesn't really matter where it is, but there you go. Part 3 is now there. Okay, and we are going to go back to our function for part 2, and we are going to add a line of code. So under the part for the year, we're going to add var day name equals day name English date obj dot get day. Okay, so what this will do is it is going to create a new variable, local variable called day name. We are going to run our day name English function, and the value that we're going to pass to it is the day that's identified with our date object. Okay, so, and then, just so that it's fun, right? So we've got this string. Let's go ahead and add, oops, and then in strings, comma, it is a and then day name. Okay, so I've got, here's the current date, there's the year, it is a, and then the date name. Okay, all right, let's see if it works. Save it. We're going to go ahead and get rid of these that we did before because we don't need them now, so save it again. View, browser preview, preview it. There you go. It's a Monday, and my birthday was a Tuesday. So there you go. That's where you should be after part 3, is being able to print out today's date and the actual day, and the same thing for a date of your choosing. So I will give you my solution code so you have it to work with. But other than that, good luck and reach out with questions.